Cool. So this batch basically we are going to discuss about the web sockets. Web sockets. So which students are eligible? Since the students are, I guess, most of the students, not most, but some of the students are uh, from the Mount batch as well, right? So because very unknown faces, I'm able to see and unknown names also. First of all, just please raise your hand. How many students are there from the Java batch? 7, 9, 10, 12, 13. Everyone, please raise your hand. Those belongs to Java batch. Cool. So 50-50 chance, 50-50% are there. Almost 56 people are there. So from both batches, students are there. So we are going to talk about the web sockets, right? We are going to discuss this web sockets in the term of some internal things, how the web socket is working. Web socket, modern people also can utilize, and the Java people also can utilize. I'm going to discuss this thing, the socket and HTTP connection and all those things in a neutral form. But the practical example I will show with the Spring Boot and normal socket application also for Java people. It will be very simple. The MERN people, they are using anytime your company can tell you that to learn any new technology and just work on that. So if you know the basic concept, how exactly it is working, so you will be very much comfortable to work on WebSockets in your that particular program in a node, or if you want to utilize that in a JavaScript. So anywhere you can use this, right? So try to understand this concept, how this things is working, and what is the WebSocket, and how we can make a very interactive application using the WebSocket. Some network level things we are going to discuss. Okay. So it is this session for both one Java people and Modern people both can attend. Okay, before starting the session, anyone having any idea about that WebSocket, please reply in the chat box. Hello. Any idea about the chat, this WebSocket? No, bidirectional connection. Timbo, anybody else? No. Okay, real gaming, real time, in remain active all time. Chat application related to communication. Okay. For those Java people, I will show one example before WebSocket. I'm gonna discuss about little bit about the sockets. So it will give you much more clarity. For the MERN people, just try to understand key, and this type of thing also you can do there in your Python. Also, some APIs are there. Using that, you can create a socket-based connection. Okay. So first, before talking about the WebSocket, I will show one example of a socket programming. Socket, that is normal Java socket application. Uh, yes, Uzair, almost correct. Your answer is in REST API, we have to send authorization details again and again, but not in a web socket. We will discuss, Raj. Just hold on. Everything we are going to discuss, so you'll get the entire clarity. So before talking about the web socket, I want to give you the little introduction about the socket application. Now, whatever the backend application you are using, whether you are using Java, .NET, Node, or any kind of backend application, they have the proper one API, the core API in that they definitely will be there. By using that, you can create a socket application. Socket application in the sense, your application can connect with any other application. When two applications, they try to connect with each other, they need one protocol, right? And that protocol internally works based on the socket connection, right? Socket connections, it will be basically one connection will be going to establish, and from there, the some channels will be created, and using that, the data transformation used to happen. So it is a low-level networking. Low-level networking based on the socket, your TCP/IP or TCP connection used to create, and based on your TCP, what used to be there, basically, whenever suppose that application one is there or software one, try to connect with software two. So they need what? One communication channel. communication channel. So here, ideally, we use what TCP/IP, TCP connection. So TCP connection is nothing but your what internally it used was socket programming. It opened the socket of the first software and then transmit the data to the other software. So internally some low level details used to be there. But when we'll go for the web on the TCP, you'll be one other layer will be there that is called HTTP. Using that, you can transfer your hypertext, right? This is the low level data transmission protocol, and this is the HTTP is there. But internally, this program will work based on the socket communication will be there. Okay, now the socket application socket, as I told that each backend application, they have the socket APIs are there. Using that, their application can connect with the another application also. For example, your application can connect generally with Java. We need to connect with the different other softwares. Java अपने आप में एक software है, but we used to connect with the database software. So that time we need a different protocol. We need a what? We don't use the HTTP. We use the another protocol. Using that JDBC or MySQL protocol, by using that our Java application connect with the any MySQL database or Oracle database. Basically, the connection happen. There also TCP/IP will be there. Socket connection used to be there. From where Java application, the data will be transmitted to the database. And in between that will be a driver. Driver will transform that the data to SQL and SQL to Java. But how the data is going to there, here and here, using that socket connection itself. Okay, so I'm first going to show you the basic socket example. So you're going to get that ki socket ka connection established kaise karte hain, what is the client, what is the server side connection, right? Then another example of using Java basic API, one chatting application I will show you, right? So you'll get the entire clarity ki how this two-way communication is happening, how the client will gonna, same application will act as a client and another will work as a server. And then after we'll move to the WebSocket. So some terminology, some examples, your MERN people may not understand right away. But if you just think, if you just apply the common sense, it will be very simple. In your case also, in Node, you will search some APIs will be there. Using that, you can create server application, you can create the client application. Okay, so without delaying, let me show that application to you. It's a very simple example. MERN people, if they are not able to understand, you can ignore this part. Then after when I will come to the WebSocket, then you will get the very much clarity. So this is the first application, the Java Socket application. It is a normal Java application. I don't need any dependency. In the core Java library, there are some classes are there. So here I have created two classes, server app, client app, right? So let me first open the server app. What is there in the server app? In Java, just like that, we have some packages like IO package, lang package. We have one package called java.net package, java.net package. In that, there are some classes. Using that, you can create your server socket. You can create your client socket. Using server socket, you can create a server. Server you can create that can continuously listen to the client. And using socket, what you can do, you can create a client. By using that, you can send some data and server socket will receive the data. So this java.net package, it is inbuilt API in Java. You need not get any dependency to add that and to get this API in classes. You don't need to download any dependency. Similarly, Node people or the other backend people, they also have their inbuilt API. Or let's and just check out that how to create the socket application. What are the core APIs are there? तो हर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज के अंदर कुछ कोर एपीआई होती है जिससे कि आप सॉकेट एप्लीकेशन बना सकते हो. इन जावा दिस इज देयर द सर्वर सॉकेट एंड द सॉकेट. सर्वर सॉकेट सर्वर बनाने के लिए एंड नॉर्मल सॉकेट क्लास टू क्रिएट अ क्लाइंट. By using that, we can send the data to the server. Okay, now let's see that this is a very simple example how I have created the server first. So I have created the server app. In the main method, I have just written one statement, server is started, waiting for the client. Waiting for the client. And what I did here, just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry for interruption. So just see, here is a very simple example. So I have created, just pasted one statement here, like server is started waiting for the client to get connection, to get connected. And how I have created the server, see, it's a very simple. I have created the one instance of server socket. As I told कि server socket class का हम use करते हैं socket server बनाने के लिए, and normal socket we use to create a client from where this server socket, it will listen the data, and here it will just going to write that just like that to create a client. Okay, now see here what is there. Server socket instance is ready. That means आपका एक server बन चुका है. And can you guess what is this 8888? Anyone? Yes, of course, port number. As we know that each server should run or basically run on a particular port. चाहे कोई भी server हो, आपका Tomcat server you used to run on 8080. In fact, your live server or to where you deploy your Angular and other application, they also run on a particular port. So server, I'm just mentioning here any number. So yes, so 8888 is a custom number on which you want to start your server. Now, after that, what we need to do, we need to call in the server socket, I'm calling accept method. This accept method, what exactly it will do that? It will just gonna wait till the client will get the connection. Client will get the connection. जैसे कोई client connect हो जाएगा, this method will going to call, and actually this will gonna wait until the client is going to get connected. Continuously it is waiting. Right? Once the client will get connection, then it will return the socket object. And using this socket object, what you can do, you can receive the data from the client as well as you can write the data to the client. इसी socket object से आप data को receive, read कर सकते हो और data को write कर सकते हो. Does it make sense till this point? Yes. Now I have just mentioned that hey, connection got established because जब यहाँ तक तो wait करता रहेगा, लेकिन control जैसे इस statement पे आया, इसका मतलब if any client get connection, and here we got the socket object. Now to write the data to the, because this is a server app, I need to give some data to the client. I want to write and I want to send some data to my client once the client got connected. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to get that two streams. Actually, basically, we can take the input stream also to read the data and output stream to write the data. दोनों stream हमें यहाँ से मिल जाएंगे. If you want to write the data, you can get output stream, और अगर आप read करना चाहते, you can get the input stream. So in the socket object, there is a method get output stream. You are gonna get the output stream object here. So within using this output stream, what you can do, you can write the data to your socket. That means the data will be given to whom? The client which is connected. Make sense? So I just created a print writer object, and in the constructor, I pass this output stream instance. So this print writer, using that, we can write some data. We can write the data to my client. So what I did here, I just taken the scanner class object to take the input from user, and I took one infinite while loop. In the infinite while loop, I just mentioned, hey, enter some text to send to the client. And here with the scanner class, I'm taking the line. And then in this print writer, I just pass this statement. Hey, whatever using this println, whatever you're gonna write, that will be given to the client. So I just pass this line. So the data will be given to the client. And then after I call the flush, so if anything is remaining in my server, which is there in the buffer or somewhere else, so it will be flushed out and entire details will be sent to the client. Right? And message is sent to the client. Now, again, this since it is a while loop, it is keep on running. So I'm checking if the line dot equals exit. So server has terminated the connection. Control come out from this infinite while. This is simple server application. Is there anyone having any problem? Please confirm to understand this statement. जब हमने एक सर्वर सॉकेट बनाया, वहां से सॉकेट ऑब्जेक्ट लेके हमने उसमें से एक आउटपुट स्ट्रीम निकाल ली, और उस आउटपुट स्ट्रीम को हमने प्रिंट राइटर ऑब्जेक्ट से चेंज कर लिया. And then using this print writer, whatever you are going to write, it will be written to the client. Okay, this is the thing is happening. Now, in the client application, let's see that what's going on. So client application, पहला तो क्या होगा? Server should be up and running, isn't it? Server should be up and running, तभी client application का काम होगा. So server should be up and running. Now client will gonna connect with the server. How? He has to create a socket object. वहां पे हम सर्वर सॉकेट बना रहे थे, यहाँ पे हमने सॉकेट ऑब्जेक्ट बनाना है. And here we need to give where, in which IP address the server is running. Since it is running in a local host, I just pass that local host. अगर आपका server किसी दूसरे port पे या दूसरे IP address computer पे run कर रहा है, you need to specify those IP address. And this is the port on which my server is running. So my socket connection is ready. What I created here from this socket, वहां पे हमने क्या निकाला था? Output stream. If you see here, I just take that socket dot get output stream. लेकिन यहाँ पे हमें read करना है जो client server ने हमें भेजा है. So in that case, I am just calling input stream. I got my input stream object. This input stream I just passed to the buffered reader instance here. ये है buffered reader. मैंने यहाँ पे हमने कोई stream से हम data read कर रहे हैं. कौन से stream से? Socket से वो stream हमें मिला है. And I passed over here. And then continuously we are going to read the data. So while true, I'm going to read this data from this buffered reader. जो कि input stream socket से data आ रहा है. It is there. I just call read line, got the statement, and printing this statement message from server. और जैसे ही कोई message अगर exit नाम का आता है यहाँ पे, so server has stopped the connection, come out from the loop. Otherwise, the client is also keep on reading the data, whatever server is keep on sending. Is it clear? Please confirm. Hello? Anyone having any doubt in this program? Please confirm. Good. Now let me just start the application first, server app. So right click and here you can start as a Java application. So server is started waiting from client and here the red symbol you can understand. Okay. Now what I'm going to do that I'm going to start the client application also. So here right click, run as Java application. Now you'll see the console part. You'll understand here. So right now I have started two applications. So if you go to this side, right side, there is a one console, display selected console, and both application is up and running. So here, which application is running? You can think like that. Here, just mention there. Server app 2, it is running, and this application is there. So here you can see the declaration. So this is your what? You can notice this is the this switching the you can say your application. So this is your server app, this is your client app. So if you just go to the server app saying hey, server is started waiting for the client. जैसे ही हमने client application run कर दिया, it is saying hey, connected with the client. Enter some text to the send to the client. Now console हमारा client वाला क्या कर रहा है? See here, it doesn't return anything. That means the thing is there is keep on waiting some text to be sent from the server. Now from the server, I'm trying to send the data. Hello. Hit the enter. So now this is your client app. That means ये हमारा client वाला है message from server. It receive the data hello. और server क्या कह रहा है? Let me show you. Server is saying that server ने type किया था hello. Message is sent. Enter text to send to the client once again. I'm sending that. How are you? So from there message is sent from the server. It is switched again automatically. And now message from server. How are you? Server पे अब जाओ. So here that is how are you message is sent. But it is one-way communication. It is not at all two-way communication. Why? Because from the client application, I have not taken what output stream. I have not written in. This is the simplest example with the Java API. You can, those people they are working with what normal other programming, other backend languages, they have their own API. Similar way, they can create their application also. Okay. So I hope this example is very much comfortable. Let me stop both the application, just clicking the red button, the both application is shut down. Nothing great here. I will share this example to you as well. Now, in the second application, what I have done, I have created the two-way communication. Two-way communication is very simple. It's also very simple. Some core Java related stuffs are there. So for again, the modern people, some people just try to understand this concept because concept would be same. Just only the syntactical sugar and the programmatical implementation is different. So I have just implemented in Java. You can relate with your node also. You might have some APIs and some other things by using that you can create. So दूसरे application में हमने क्या किया है? I have created a two-way communication. Two-way communication means continuously chat is going to happen. Okay, now let me share this application to you. And here also client application, server application. Now let me show you the first server application. See here what I did here in the server application. Same thing, what I have done in the previous example, I have created a server and now server is ready to accept the connection. And it is saying that, hey, I'm waiting. Now server.accept. So once this statement is executed, that means client got connected. Till this line, everything is fine. Please confirm. Cool. After that, what I did here, I just taken that दोनों चीज हमने ले लिया है. क्या? Reader and writer. That means buffered reader जहां से हम data read करने वाले हैं. Is it possible to connect multiple client? No, it will not be possible. We will see that. We will see, Mohammed. This is one. Let's see that here. What will happen? So buffered reader to read the data from the client and print writer to write the data to the client. So if you see that here, socket dot get input stream, I just pass that in a buffered reader, and socket dot get output stream, I pass that to the print writer. मतलब ये रीडर से हम डेटा को रीड करने वाले हैं क्लाइंट से, और राइटर से हम क्लाइंट के पास डेटा राइट करने वाले हैं. Till that part, I hope this part is also over. Please confirm. And everyone is comfortable with this part. Yeah. Now I took a scanner class to write something. Then after, what I did interestingly, I just taken the two threads, thread 1 and thread 2. Why, sir? What is the requirement of thread here? Because I don't know, sometimes server need to wait to get the response from the client. Sometimes client need to wait to get the response from the server. So I want for total 4 thread to be started. 2 thread हमारे server से start होंगे. पहला thread read करेगा, write करेगा. पहला thread read करेगा, दूसरा thread write करेगा. और 2 thread हमारे client application से start होंगे. वो भी यही चीज करेगा. पहला thread read करेगा और दूसरा thread write करेगा. So both keep on waiting. 4 threads will going to start. Right? So in that, what I have done, see, it's a very simple example. I created one runnable thread, runnable writing thread. And using the Lambda expression, I have created this runnable task. I hope everyone is very much comfortable with this. Runnable and how to, because since this is a runnable is having only one method, run method. So हमने क्या किया है, बस एक Lambda expression से इसके implementation, I pass the body, what should be running in the particular thread. So this writing thread will execute these statements. And similarly, reading thread will execute these statements. Both thread I have started here. So I have created the new thread, reading thread, writing thread. I will start here. Can you tell me at this line, how many threads will be there? Java people, give me the answer. Very good, Tanuj. It will be 3 thread will be there at this statement. Main thread, don't forget the main thread. Main thread is also there, right? So main thread is there and these 2 threads are keep on working. Okay, very good. So now let's come to the writing thread. Writing thread का काम क्या है? Write करना. तो यहाँ पे हमें दोनों में से कौन से ऑब्जेक्ट की जरूरत पड़ेगी? Of course, write करना, print writer, and the scanner class. So I have used here. So server can send message to the client, and now true is the infinite loop, and I just take one input line. Scanner class from जहाँ से हम console से हम user से input लेंगे, and that input I am writing to the print writer, and I'm clicking the flush. कब तक? Once the text is I'm writing the exit, then what will happen? Server has terminated the chat and control come out from the loop. Server has sent the message. This message, whatever server text is there, I've just printed on the console. Is there any problem of writing some data to the client from the server? Very good. It's a very simple example. Okay, same thing. Reading. Read करने के लिए अभी क्या चाहिए हमें? I need that buffered reader. So in that case, what I did here, see, server can read the message from the client now, it will print and it will wait. कब तक? Buffered reader से हम line को read कर रहे हैं, जब तक ये null ना हो. So that time it will reading the data, putting that in a message. कब तक? If the message is equals exit, then client has terminated the chat and control come out from the loop. Control has come out from the loop. And then it will print that message. So it will read the data here. What the data is there? Printing the data. Client, the data is there, right? And here, मतलब client ने send किया है ये data. And if the client they send the data will be the exit, that means client has terminated the chat. That's it. Anyone having any doubt in this reading thread? Very good, very good. And both thread I have started. Same thing, I have done similar kind of approach in a client application. Let me show you. Here also, I just created sending request to the server. This is my client application. So it is just going to get connect from the server. So localhost and 8888. That means it will going to establish the connection with the server. Once the connection is done, both will be in sync. So what will happen in here? Here also I took that two object, reader and writer, print writer. So here get socket.input stream, socket.output stream. ये रीड करने के लिए जो डेटा हमारे पास सॉकेट से आ रहा है और ये सॉकेट से हम डेटा को पास करने के लिए प्रिंट राइटर रीडर सॉकेट से डेटा आने वाले डेटा को रीड करने के then after scanner to write something from the user to the console and this is here also reading thread and writing thread and both thread I have started. That's it. Now let me show you reading thread similar kind of thing is also doing. That means since it is the reading the data from the server से जो डेटा आया उसे रीड कर रहा है कब तक जब तक ये नल ना हो और या फिर मैसेज हमारा अगर एग्जिट आता है सर्वर की तरफ से मतलब सर्वर ने टर्मिनेटेड कर दिया चैट को कम आउट फ्रॉम द लूप अदरवाइज सर्वर से जो डेटा आया है दिस इज द मैसेज. राइटिंग थ्रेड क्लाइंट को डेटा राइट करना है तो इसे ऑफ कोर्स प्रिंट राइटर की जरूरत पड़ेगी. सो इट इज टेकिंग द डेटा फ्रॉम द स्कैनर एंड राइटिंग द डेटा टू द प्रिंट राइटर एंड गिविंग द फ्लश दैट मींस क्लियर द बफर एंड क्लाइंट हैज सेंड द टेक्स्ट. अगर टेक्स्ट इक्वल एग्जिट है मतलब क्लाइंट अभी बंद करना चाहता है. क्लाइंट वांट टू टर्मिनेट द चैट, राइट? क्लाइंट हैज टर्मिनेटेड द चैट और क्लाइंट वांट टू टर्मिनेट द चैट. दैट्स इट. इज इट क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? प्लीज कंफर्म. There is no any difference between both ones. Just simply ये client application है और ये server हमारा application. Let me run this example and show you. So here this application I'm gonna run. So server is ready and it is waiting for to accept a connection. Okay. Now let me start that connection to run the client application. So here I am just launching my client application. So connection got established. So if you notice, let me just explore both examples. So if you go to the server, this is the server application. Previously it was waiting, but now connected to the client. Server can send message to the client. Server can read message from the client now. Here in the client application, sending request to server, connection established, and client can get the message from the server now. Client can send the message to the server. Okay, so from anywhere you can start the chat. I want to start from the server side. So I'm saying hello. Now this is my client tab, it is automatically switched. Now let me just go to the server. See here, server, I just written the hello, server has sent hello. Now go to the client and here server has sent hello message. Now from here I want to say that I just entered anything. Let me just go to the client and I'm passing hi. So client has sent hi. Now go to the server. So client is sent hi. Now server is sending how are you. Now this is your server side. You can run this example in a two different consoles so to better visibility. But you'll notice that I just written that how are you. So server has sent how are you. Switch to the client tab and here server has sent a message how are you. Now client will going to respond I am fine. So client here, this is my server tab. Server tab automatically switched. Client is saying I am fine. और server से हमने type किया था क्या? Client has sent I am fine. So both application is running at all. Now in the client side, I'm just typing here exit. It is saying that client has terminated the chat. Client has terminated the chat. Right? But here client now cannot send the data. क्योंकि जो एग्जिट हुआ है वो हम राइटर वाले थ्रेड में हमने एग्जिट किया था, रीडर वाले थ्रेड में हमने एग्जिट नहीं किया था. सो इन दैट केस क्लाइंट अब डेटा सेंड नहीं कर सकता लेकिन क्लाइंट विल गोना रीड द डेटा, isn't it? So client now from the client here client is saying that this is the server application, so I'm moving to the client. If I just pass here any value or any name, let's say Ratan, I'm sending from the client. So since client has already stopped the connection, terminated the connection, so this data will not reach to the server. Let's see that server, there is no any data. But अगर server कोई data यहाँ से भेज रहा है, let's say that server is sending the data Rahul. So this data Client has sent the exit, that is fine here. And here server data is Rahul. That means this is my client app. Client is able to read the data. Client का भी कब खत्म होगा काम? जब server ने यहाँ से लिख दिया, hey, I want to exit. So in that case, client server both exited, and here if you notice, my application is stopped. Both application got stopped. Am I clear? So it is a very simple application. Just हमने दो thread लेके reading और writing दोनों तरह से काम में कर रखा है. There are, I cannot say that is a proper application. There are lots of loopholes are there in this application. What are those? There are a number of resources are there, like socket and server socket, buffered reader. These resources I have not closed properly. You need to close these resources properly in order to make this 100% perfect application. But by the way, काम चलाओ ठीक है, छोटे level के लिए you can understand, because here we are not concerned bothering about the resource of utilization. Just I have shown with the simple example how the client will talk to the server, server will gonna talk to the client. So this is the main intention. So simple, I have created two applications, server socket 1, and this is a one-way directional, here's two-way directional. I hope till this part everyone is comfortable. Please confirm. Cool. Now let's talk about the WebSocket. Before starting the WebSocket, I will give you some idea about that WebSocket hota kya hai and how exactly we have learned till now. Till now in a Spring Boot, we have used HTTP protocol to communicate between two softwares. कौन-कौन से सॉफ्टवेयर से हम कनेक्ट कर रहे थे? कोई बताओ, यहाँ पे हमारे Spring Boot में सॉफ्टवेयर पहला और दूसरा सॉफ्टवेयर कौन-कौन सा है? Software first will be what? It is your browser. Browser or client. Client could be your Postman, Swagger, whatever. But for a typical web application, that could be the browser. And software 2 is what? Your server. Your server. कौन सा server? Your web server. Your web server is there. Right. HTTP is a communication protocol, which will, you are going to send the data, server will receive the request. Now, exactly, this is the traditional or HTTP way to just give the communication between client and server. But exactly काम कैसे करता है? You should know about something we have discussed already when I started the servlet or Spring Boot. But how exactly it is working, it is important to understand their nature of HTTP. This is important for the MERN student as well. And you might have already the awareness about that, but let me show some example to you. So this is my client application. This is my server application. And there will be definitely your application in the server. Your application will be deployed in a web server. Typically, we know that there will be one web container जहाँ पे हमारा application deploy रहता है, right? Your application used to get deployed on the server, right? In the container. Now, whenever the client will send some request, so client will give the request, that request is called HTTP request. In this diagram, I will try to explain you the messaging concept and all the details, message broker, all those things. So please try to understand carefully. So this request will be taken by the servlet and it will route it to the your main component of your application. That application will execute. This application might interact with the database server to get the data. It might interact with the database server also to perform some database operation. Right. And then this will send the response, and then it will send the response back to the client. So this is ideally a HTTP request. And this is your HTTP response. Okay. We have discussed very detail about this HTTP request and response in our web application architecture, but please understand here carefully. Whenever client is sending the request, तो उस request ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ request भेज रहा है. Request के अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें हो सकती हैं. Client always send lots of things, like client can send some data, form data, client can upload image, client can click a button, click an event, generate an event also. Client can generate lots of other type of data. So client is just not only sending the request, along with the request, it can send some data. Not only the data, it can send some metadata also, like body header, cookies, tokens, a number of things client is sending. Something knowingly, something unknowingly. कुछ चीज तो वो उसे पता भी नहीं रहता है कि हमारे रिक्वेस्ट के साथ सर्वर के पास जा रही है। जैसे हमारे आईपी एड्रेस, हम किस ब्राउजर से रिक्वेस्ट भेज रहे हैं, right? So a number of details we are sending from this. So HTTP is carrying all those details, data as well as metadata. And then this response is coming. This response is having lots of detail also. Like यहाँ पे भी सिर्फ response ही नहीं आएगा. Typical response will be your, for a web application, your HTML data. For normal REST API, if you call, then it will give you the JSON data or XML data, any kind of data which comes in the form of body, HTTP body. And then along with that body, you have some header also, some cookies also, right? So HTTP के response के साथ भी बहुत सारी data भी मिलते हैं हमें और उसके meta data भी मिलते हैं. We have discussed in detail about the HTTP request and response architecture. कि इसमें status code क्या होता है, response having the status code and all those details. So I hope everyone is very much comfortable with this request response cycle. Please confirm. Yes, but what's the problem with this HTTP request response cycle is what? This HTTP, I hope everyone is aware about that one. HTTP protocol is a stateless protocol. Stateless protocol. I hope everyone is aware with this word stateless. Stateful, stateless, right? So what do you mean by this stateless protocol? Stateless protocol says that once you are giving the request, one socket connection will be established. एक socket connection TCP/IP के ऊपर एक socket connection आपका बन जाएगा, right? And using that, the data will be transmitted. Then after, once you get the response with the same TCP/IP, you can get the response as well. After that, once you get the response from this, basically what that HTTP will do, it will break the connection. It will break the connection. Break the connection. अगली बार हम फिर से कोई दूसरा request दे रहे हैं, that request will be the brand new request. It will be the brand new request. It will get the response, brand new response. And then once it gets the response, this request is again terminated. Again, you are sending the request, you are getting the response, and that request will be terminated. Now, this is called stateless nature. Stateless nature. You may ask, sir, ऐसा क्यों होता है? Why not it will be the stateful? Because you can think कि suppose अगर कोई client का अगर connection बना और response मिल गया, and till it is holding the connection, particular client, right? And this is holding for 1 hour or whatever until this browser window is closed and this connection is engaged, then what will happen? As we know that typical web application will manage each request with a particular thread. One thread will gonna handle this request and response. That request is going to be there. One independent thread will come and that thread will handle this particular request. And it will give the response, connection will be break, the thread will be released. And the thread will free to solve other requests. Generally, in any server, there will be some thread pool used to be there. Thread pools होते हैं जिसमें ready-made threads होते हैं बने बनाए. What is the responsibility of that thread? Whenever any request will come, one thread will be there. It will wake up and it will process that particular request. And then once the response is going on, the response when or sent to the client, that thread will be released and released to this particular pool once again. Now, what will happen for a typical web application? Simultaneously, lots of clients used to send the request. ऐसा थोड़ी है कि एक बार में सिर्फ एक ही client request दे रहा है एक web application को. Thousands, lakhs of requests coming same time for a particular web application. तो उस केस में क्या होता है, हर रिक्वेस्ट को हैंडल करने के लिए एक थ्रेड की जरूरत पड़ती है. और आप सोचो अगर एक साथ लाखों रिक्वेस्ट हमारे यूजर हमें दे रहे हैं और हम सबका सेशन हम मेंटेन करने लगे अपने क्लाइंट के पास, then क्या होगा हमारे सर्वर का हाल. So to make it efficient way to parallel concurrently, multiple people can work on that. So it will give the request response and then it will forget the data. Forget about the previous request. That's why the nature of the stateless is maintained. There is the stateless nature is maintained for the HTTP to improve the efficiency, right? Now, the problem with this efficiency is what? Whenever we are getting the response from the server, it will forget our previous conversation. It will forget. Let's say that हमने एक request दिया, response मिला, connection break हो गया, अगली बार से फिर request दिया, response दिया, ये नया request होगा. इस request के बारे में कुछ नहीं पता कि आपने क्या डेटा भेजा था, whatever you have not sent anything, it does not know anything about that. In this case, to maintain this session, this is called stateless nature, but to make it stateful, हमें क्या करना पड़ता है? We need to make that, we need to use some technique, we need to use some tricks to remember this conversation from one request to another request. So even though the HTTP is a stateless protocol, to make it what? To remember the previous conversation of the previous request, we need to follow some tricks, some techniques we need to follow. What are the techniques? Can anyone tell me here? Please confirm. HTTP is a stateless protocol, which means after getting the response for a particular request, connection will be disconnected. Connection will be broken. And next request does not know anything about the previous request. This is called a stateless nature. Yes, Tanuj, you are absolutely correct. So to make it a stateful, to remember the client previous conversation, we need to previous conversation, even though HTTP is a stateless protocol, we need to follow some techniques. So वो कौन से techniques हैं? The first technique is what? We need to use HTTP sessions. Then after we need to use cookies. We can use hidden form field. Fourth, we can use HTTP session or cookies both work on a JSession IDs. Hidden form field is another technique. Then you can use URL rewriting. And you can use also session token based tokens using some tokens like JWT or UUID or any token using, basically we use the JWT token, not UUID, because in JWT token we keep some user information also, and we can make remember our application. That means with the different conversation, that means with the different connection, our application remember the previous client conversation कि पिछली बार जो request आया था इसमें क्या conversation हुई थी, what kind of data, what kind of details will be there. Yes, I will share these notes to you. Don't worry. After this class, on the same link, that notes will be pasted. In fact, whatever the diagram and all those things will be there. So technically, you can say I'm just giving one analogy. This HTTP connection is like your Gajni. Gajni movie आपने देखा होगा ना? So Amir Khan used to forget all those previous conversation. कि क्या हुआ था थोड़ी देर पहले. So it used to forget what all these things कि अभी हमने बात किया, अगली बार से जब से request आएगा एकदम से नए लोगों की तरह मिलना. That means it will used to forget all those previous conversation. So that time Gajni also used to do what? Some techniques, some tips to identify the previous conversation, to recognize or to remember the previous conversation. So Gajni kya karta tha? He used to write something on a photos or what in a body or somewhere in the wall, right? That he used to some technique to remember the previous conversation, isn't it? देखी है movie आप लोगों ने गजनी? आमिर खान, सूर्या. Yes. So yes, so different technique is used here. So basically in our web application, these type of techniques we used to follow to remember this previous conversation. एंड ये स्टेटलेस क्यों बना गया है ये भी हमने आपको बता दिया कि अगर बहुत सारे कंकरेंटली अगर ये रिक्वेस्ट को अगर ये कन्वर्सेशन याद करने लगे और ये सॉकेट का कनेक्शन ब्रेक ना हो, then what will happen here, this connection if it is not breaked, then simultaneously multiple requests will come, our server having too much burden on that, right? So it is impossible to concurrently manages so many requests. Okay, this is the typical nature of what your request and response scenario. But in that case, we are going to use this WebSocket. WebSocket is very, very helpful in this nature. Now let's talk about this WebSocket. So I have some notes I have written for this time saving purpose so that we can jump directly to our practical example. So WebSocket is a lightweight communication protocol. It is also built on the top of TCP itself, and it enable real-time bidirectional communication between client and server. This is the very, very important bidirectional communication. Bidirectional communication का मतलब क्या होता है? Anyone can send the request, anyone can send the response. In this one, client used to send the request, server will send the response. But bidirectional means the connection will be open and anyone can send the request and anyone can send the response. Both one can act as a server, both one act as a client. Okay, this is a very interesting one. We will see with example. Once a WebSocket connection is established between a client and server, both can exchange information endlessly until the connection is closed by any one of the parties. मतलब जैसे ही WebSocket से connection हम establish कर दे, तो both can work as a server or client. They can exchange the information continuously. Okay, now what is the difference between HTTP protocol and WebSocket protocol? It is also a protocol, communication protocol. तो WebSocket protocol और HTTP protocol में क्या difference है? Let's talk about that. So WebSocket and HTTP both are communication protocol, but they have significant differences in their characteristics and the uses. What are those? HTTP protocol follows a request response model. Request भेजा, response मिला. Where a client sends the request to the server and the server responds with the requested data. This model is primarily suited for the client server communication with a stateless nature. इसके बारे में हमने बात की थी अभी. Where each request is an independent request. हर बार जो request आएगा independent होगा, नया होगा, it will get the response, connection will be destroyed. Even though we just used to manage some tricks to maintain the session. But by default, it is a stateless nature and this is the request response cycle in HTTP. अब WebSocket क्या करता है? Whereas WebSocket protocol enables real-time bidirectional communication between client and server. It allows both the client and server to send a message to each other without the need of initiating the request response cycle for each message. That means it will enable bidirectional communication, right? It allows both the client and server can send message to each other. ये message कैसे send होता है each other? How do they used to send? There will be one message broker will be there. We will discuss about that. Without the need of initiating a request response cycle for each message. No need to for a request. किसी ने भेजा, हमने response दिया. It will internally work in a. We will discuss about this publisher and subscriber model. But here need not initiate. Anyone can act as a server. Anyone can act as a client. Once the connection is established. Second difference, HTTP is a stateless protocol, which means that each request from the client is treated as an independent transaction. We discussed about this one. And the server does not maintain any information about the previous request or the client state. Whereas WebSocket provides a persistent connection. Persistent connection means आपका connection break नहीं होगा. Your connection will not gonna be destroyed. Connection will be there. Once the initial handshake will be there, then your connection will be persistent between the client and server. Connection will always remain open. Now you may ask, sir, फिर तो वही problem हो जाएगी. Connection हमारा stateful हो जाएगा. फिर multiple connection हमारा request handle नहीं हो पाएगा. We will discuss about this. Once the WebSocket connection is established, it remains open until explicitly closed by either the client or server. This thing you need to remember. That's what is the persistent connection. ये कब तक चालू रहेगा? जब तक कोई एक पार्टी उसे बंद ना करे. Yes, just like that Zoom meeting. This persistent connection allows for efficient real-time communication and eliminates the need of continuous request response cycle. So this will what unnecessary अब request फिर से भेजना है connection को फिर से establish करना फिर connection को it will take little time longer time here. So this time here it is not required कि फिर से बार बार connection बनाना तोड़ना once the connection is established it is a persistent connection. So it is eliminate the need of continuous request response cycle. Now the third one, HTTP has additional overhead due to the request response nature. For each request there is some header and potentially cookies that we need to send along with the payload. मतलब HTTP में हमें मालूम है we can send the request data, we can send the headers, we can send some cookies and a number of headers, right? So that means additional overhead due to some request response nature. और कुछ extra data को ये carry करता है. Extra data in the sense lots of headers will be there in addition to your real data. This overhead can result in additional latency and resource consumption because n number of header you can send, n number of metadata you can send. So it will just little bit slow down your some application task. Whereas a WebSocket has minimum overhead compared to the HTTP. WebSocket से भी हम header भेजते हैं लेकिन इतना नहीं जितना हम HTTP के साथ भेजते हैं. बाकी सारे डिटेल्स की किस ब्राउजर से जा रहा है किस डेट एंड किस टाइम को so we don't send those many entire details, only few details we can send through the header, not as compared as HTTP, not as much as, so that ये थोड़ा सा इसका जो payload का structure होता है ना request and response, this is very much lighter compared to the HTTP. Once the initial handshake is completed, the subsequent messages exchange occurs with minimum protocol related overhead. This efficiency enables faster and more efficient communication, particularly in scenario where frequent data exchange is required. एक बार आपका handshake complete हो गया, then next time onwards, it will not gonna send the entire information again and again with the header and then after lots of other details with the as a metadata to the headers. So just it will focus on the real data. And once the connection is established, say आप data लो लेके जाओ, you need not bring cookies, you need not bring again session IDs, not required here. Because it is not your stateless connection. It knows that when the connection is established, it initiates itself. Initial, can we make blog-like application with the help of Socket? We will discuss. Yes, of course you can create. क्योंकि एक बार कनेक्शन बन चुका है, इसको बार-बार आपको आइडेंटिफाई करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि आप हर रिक्वेस्ट के साथ टोकन भेजो, हर रिक्वेस्ट के साथ सेशन आईडी भेजो. It's not required. Okay. HTTP is well suited for a traditional web application that primarily involve request response interactions, such as fetching web pages, submitting form, or retrieving resources from a server. Whereas WebSocket is ideal for a real-time application. किस तरह के application के लिए? That required frequent and immediate data updates. जहाँ पे बहुत जल्दी और immediately data updates की जरूरत है, such as chat application, real-time collaboration tools, live feeds collaboration tool जैसे कि आपकी कोई meetings वगैरह है जहाँ पे continuously data is streamed, continuously data is coming there, right? Live feeds, multiplayer gaming application, these are some application areas जहाँ पे continuously, frequently and immediately data updates is required. User need not wait कि हमने request दे दिया और कुछ देर जब तक हमें response नहीं मिलता है, user has to wait. It's not like that. So basically we can say that using WebSocket, we can create or we can communicate with the client and server asynchronously. What is the meaning of synchronous communication and asynchronous communication? Anyone having any idea? Please confirm. आपको आइडिया मिल जाएगा कैसे? यहाँ पे हम एक ब्रैकेट में एक वर्ड लिख ले रहे हैं. Asynchronous means non-blocking. This is the meaning of asynchronous. Not multi-threading, so not synchronization. It is a synchronous and asynchronous communication. You might have those people there in the JavaScript background, they know that. What is the meaning of asynchronous communication? Your fetch API, async await, you might have used there, right? So synchronous or asynchronous communication में क्या होता है? Let me just tell you one example with respect to this diagram itself, this communication. Now client has sent a request. Client has sent a request कि है ये data हमें process होना है, and then now what will happen? Suppose that this request to process the request, it is taking 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Now in a synchronous communication, what will happen? Your client will going to get blocked for 10 minutes. Client कुछ और नहीं कर सकता है because his request is not served and it is blocked to or tied with this particular request. Till जब तक ये response चाहे 10 minutes लगे, 5 minutes लगे, he has to wait. This is called a blocking nature, isn't it? Please confirm. Yes. Asynchronous मतलब हमने request फेंक दिया यहाँ पे. I have sent the request. Now I am free here. I can do some other activity. I am not waiting कि ये response process हो गया, request process हो गया, response आया तब हम दूसरा step करें. It's not like that. We can perform some other task. And here I have sent the request. Along with the request, I can pass some callback functions, right? And then हमने कह दिया कि hey, जब ये request process हो जाए, तो आप इस callback method को execute कर देना. Just like that, we used to do that using Fetch API. Fetch API in JavaScript, asynchronous programming. Make sense? So with WebSocket in traditional HTTP, we have the synchronous communication. By the way, हम HTTP को भी हम asynchronous बना सकते हैं. Right now we have lots of technique like reactive programming, like some other way using streaming based concept. We can make our this normal traditional HTTP request and response also we can make them as a asynchronous way. Asynchronous way, client fire the request, client need not wait until the request is processed. Yes, with the reactive programming Vertex, there are a number of ways are there using that. This existing HTTP को भी हम asynchronous in nature बना सकते हैं. But WebSocket is what? By nature itself, it will make your work communication between client and server asynchronously. That means client has sent a request, client need not wait. कि है हमने request भेज दिया, हमें response मिलने तक हम wait करें. Client is free. Client can do any other task. Am I clear? Please confirm. What is the meaning of synchronous and asynchronous, blocking and non-blocking? Very good. Now, so with the above point, we can say the key feature of WebSocket is first bidirectional communication. That means WebSocket allows both the client and server to send message to each other simultaneously. दोनों पार्टी एक साथ भेज सकते हैं message. This enables real-time updates and interactive communication between two parties. Persistent connection. Once the socket connection is established, then it remains open until closed explicitly. The persistent connection eliminates the need of continuously polling, reducing, or resource consumption. Polling means continuously sending a request, continuously establishing a new connection, sending the data, and then after getting the response, reducing resources consumption as well. So this is the persistent connection, bidirectional communication. Last, low overhead. As I told, कि minimum overhead की जरूरत होती है यहाँ पे because this protocol is faster compared to the normal HTTP protocol. With respect to what your you can say that headers. What are the extra headers? Knowingly or unknowingly, a number of headers is used to carry session header, tokens, and entire details. With every request, HTTP used to carry, but here not required because once the connection is established, server identify, hey, who is the client. You need not give your identification again and again in the term of session ID or JWT token and some extra details. Till this point, I hope everyone is comfortable. Please confirm. Good. Then after we need to discuss about this STORM protocol. What is the meaning of this STORM protocol? But before talking about this STORM protocol, we should take one small break. Just for 5-minute break, and then after we'll talk about the STORM protocol. What is the meaning of that? It is basically a sub protocol जिसे हम use करते हैं WebSocket के साथ. क्यों? We'll talk about that after a small break. So it is 9:05. We'll come back by 9. Good. Thank you, Tanuj. Okay, welcome back. So before starting the session, Irsad Alam is saying that I was working last 10 days on chat application, but still I am facing issue with continuously receiving data from server. I'm trying to make a one messaging app where only sender send the particular to particular user, and only recipient user can get this message. So Irshad, on which language you are trying to create this application? Node.js. So I have shown one that particular example with Java. With Java, if you are using the core API. So Node API also the similar way you can try. That means simple type of way. You can try. Otherwise, we will talk about that one little later. I will give some point here. Otherwise, you can send me that message or the application. I will check what's the problem is going on. Okay. But anyhow, let's talk about, you'll be able to, after this session, very easily, you can maintain your application. Let me just show you that some other important concept, which is very helpful for you. Okay, before talking about the Stomp, there is another concept we need to discuss. We discussed what? Using WebSocket, we can communicate with the client and server asynchronously, non-blocking. This point is a very important. Now you need to understand one important thing. That is, let me just keep this statement, cut it from here and paste it here. And make this one super important. Okay. Now please concentrate. Two applications, or you can say microservices, or what type of application can communicate with each other by two ways. First, using a REST API call, and second, using messaging. So दो application आपस में जब बात करते हैं ना, दो application or two components of application. Let's say that you have created a microservices or any other application which is going to talk with any other application. Java में हम एक दूसरे application से दूसरे API को कैसे call करते हैं? Let me suppose that one Java application want to, or one Spring Boot application, let's say that Spring Boot application want to get the data from another Spring Boot application. How you used to get the data? Yes, very simple. REST template is there. We know that using REST template, web client, or we can say that FAN client, we have three ways are there. FAN client, web client, REST template. REST template is the simplest one. They can interact the data. So suppose that one Spring Boot application want to interact with the, or try to communicate to the another Spring Boot application. Yes, Spring Boot application, suppose person X has developed. This Spring Boot application is created by person Y. So person X is trying to get the data from the application which is developed by person Y. So what is there? Ashish is saying REST template is deprecated. It is not deprecated, but in future it is meant to be. It is some people saying that it will be deprecated. It will be, but it is not deprecated right away. Okay. So listen carefully. By anyway, if you are not interested with REST template, you can go with the web client or FAN client. But see the idea here. So दो application component आपस में बात करते हैं, चाहे वो Node के हो, चाहे वो Java के हो, चाहे वो any backend. Let's say that our Spring Boot application want to talk to what? Any other application. Suppose that, let me just go to the point here. Now imagine there is a one Spring Boot application, and it want to talk to any client application. Now client, it can get the data using REST template. Let's take the example of REST template. So using the REST template, it can talk to any application which is developed in another Spring Boot project. Isn't it? Yes or no? Yes, it can talk to that. It can get the data, this is Spring Boot project, using what? Let's say that using REST template. It can fetch the call, get call or post, whatever, and it can get the data, it can embed the data in their application. Now, can't this Spring Boot application using REST template talk to any other application which is developed in Node? Yes or no? Please confirm. So other application developed in Node or any other backend language, please confirm. Okay, I need the response from your side. Yes. So any application using REST template, it can call a particular API. That API could be developed in Spring Boot, could be developed in Node, could be developed in .NET, could be developed in Python. किसी भी language में बना हो, हम REST template से API call करेंगे, data मिल जाएगा, we can utilize this. So this is a one way to get communication. ये एक तरीका है call करने. And this is what it is, a one type of synchronous communication. Synchronous communication because जब तक ये call resolve नहीं होगा, तब तक आपको client has to wait, right? Of course, we have. I'm not talking about the reactive programming. Reactive programming is a way जहाँ पे आप इसे handle कर सकते हो. For example, आपको क्या कर रहे हो? आप इस Spring Boot के data को आप access कर रहे हो, ठीक है? That data, whatever you are getting, you are embedding to the data which is going to get from here. और last में आप अपना data बना के combine करके return कर दो. So until this API call is finished, you have to wait till this API call. और जब ये दोनों बन जाएगा, दोनों के API call final हो जाएंगे, then what you can do, you can combine those data and send it to the client. This is called synchronous call. So this is the one way two application can talk to each other. Make sense? Now there is another way. Another way is there that is called messaging. Messaging. Using messaging, also two applications can connect with each other. Try to understand this point very easy. This example will give you the clarity about the Apache Kafka, RabbitMQ, and whatever the messaging tools we have. In that, what will used to happen? And by the way, our WebSocket also will wanna work this particular model only. So here is your client, and here is your different applications. Different application. The application can be created in Node, and the application can be created in Java. So application in Java or Spring Boot, application in Node, application in Python. Different applications are there. Here एक तो तरीका हमने देखा था using REST template. Imagine this is your Spring Boot application, client application. Spring Boot application. So यहाँ पे client browser नहीं, यहाँ पे client एक दूसरा application है. So both want to talk with each other. This client want to talk to these many clients. So the first way we have seen REST template. Second way is what? Using messaging. So in the messaging, there used to be one message broker in the middle. One message broker used to be there in the middle. This is called message broker. Message broker used to be there. This message broker will have internally some of that ways to get the message. Right? So in that case, what will be happening here? Your Spring Boot need not talk to these applications. What your Spring Boot application will do, it will simply publish some message. It will publish the message to this message broker. This is called publishing the message. Publish the message. And here there will be some queue, some topic used to be there. Some queue will be there. Your messages will be in the queue. Some topic will be there. So topic and queue is nothing but a repository जहाँ पे आपके message सारे रखे जाएंगे. That means one by one, because it will keep on sending some messages. Now this application 1, it need not send message directly to the client. It will just keep this message to this particular message broker, right? Now the application which need the data, this data, let's say that app 1, app 2, app 3 need the data from this particular Spring Boot application. Here is the reverse side is there. That means this time it is not gonna get the data from this application. This time these other applications try to get the data from this one. So in that case, let's say that this is also, it also needs this data from any other application. So the application which will gonna subscribe to this particular topic or queue, those only they will get the data, whatever data this application has kept. Let's say that this application has kept one data to any data, let's say a name called Ravi, right? One data it has kept. Now this application, it is there, and this is your destination. Destination is called either topic or queue, based on which type of message broker you are using. So in the form of topic and queue, the destination will be created. वहां पे एक application अपना data को रख देगा. And then it need not talk about any other client. The client which required the data from this message broker, they need to subscribe. They need to subscribe this topic or queue from this message broker. They need to subscribe. And here, client will subscribe. So only the client which has subscribed this particular topic. By the way, this message broker can have multiple topics, multiple queues, multiple topic, multiple queues. So जिस client ने इस topic को subscribe किया है, they will automatically get the data. Automatically get the data based on what event handling process, event handlers. There are some events will be there. जैसे ये Spring Boot application एक data को रखेगा इस topic के अंदर, one event will be generated, and the subscriber will have some event handlers. Automatically, it will receive the data. So this communication, it is a asynchronous communication. So we have seen that there are two approaches. One approach using REST template, you can call traditional way, get the data, and you can connect with a different application. So a Spring Boot application can talk or communicate with the two different applications using REST template. Either this application can get the data from REST template, or this application can get the data, right? This Spring Boot can get the data from REST template or any HTTP client. Okay, but this is your what? Asynchronous communication. In asynchronous communication, one message broker used to come. That message broker in that first application will keep the data. Keep the data. For example, let's say that is a very simple analogy. One person, one courier person, Flipkart delivery person, we want to send some data to you, some package to you. Then he will go there, or some postman is going to send some data to you. But if you are not there in your home, your availability is not there. And if you are, let's say that not available, maybe client is down or somewhere something is going to be there, then the chances is what you may lose the data. So in that case, what you can do, you can keep some letterbox, you can keep some other mechanism, whether in absence of you, the data will be kept there. And later, you will get the data from that letterbox. So this is a typical message-based architecture. Why we are discussing here? Because in the later application where we are going to discuss, so this message broker, there are a number of message brokers are there in the market. Like we have message broker like RabbitMQ. RabbitMQ, let me just mention there. Yes, Apache Kafka is also there. Is the one type of broker. That is a high performance event based broker. So simple one, RabbitMQ, right? ActiveMQ, message queue. Then after you have a simple broker, Apache Kafka. So these are, Apache Pulsar is also there. A number of brokers are there in the market. Based on your requirement, you are going to use. Now, in our WebSocket with the Spring Boot project, Spring Boot, it is basically in-memory message broker. In-memory message broker, right? Used in Spring Boot application with WebSocket. So there are, you can tomorrow if you want to change the simple broker here, I don't want to use the in-memory message broker, I want to explicitly use the RabbitMQ or ActiveMQ, you can configure, you can do some configuration so that your communication will work there. Now in the chat application with the WebSocket, what used to happen? Suppose that in a chat application, multiple client will gonna open the window, multiple client will gonna open their stuff. Then what will happen? All the application will act as a client, all the application will act as a server. Now in that one, any application can send the data to this queue or topic, and then the other application which has subscribed this topic, they will automatically get the data. Now in this application, the thing is any one application can keep the data in this. That means it can be a subscriber, same application will act as a subscriber, same application will act as a producer as well, publisher as well. Same application can keep the data and same application will read the data. So अगर कोई भी application इसके अंदर data रखता है, all the subscriber will listen the data, right? Any application can keep the data, all the subscriber will subscribe the data. Make sense? And this is here what we are gonna work with the Spring Boot, and internally we are gonna use this WebSocket. Now, last thing, what is the meaning of subscribing? Subscribing means Irshad, basically जो data रखा जाता है किसी topic के अंदर रखा जाता है, and I told that a number of topic is this is the destination basically. So you can only suppose you have this application, two application, they have subscribed to this particular topic. So any application will keep the data in this topic, only this two application can get the data. This application will not get the data because the subscription of this application is not there with this particular topic. आपने अगर नेटफ्लिक्स का सब्सक्रिप्शन लिया है, कोई मूवी आएगी तो बस आपको ही नोटिफिकेशन मिलेंगे जिन्होंने सब्सक्रिप्शन ले रखा है. अमेजन पे आप कोई मूवी आ रही है तो ये इसके नोटिफिकेशन नहीं मिलेगा, right? So similar like that, you can think the analogy here. So there are n number of topic will be there. So to which topic you have subscribed, only the data whatever, because it internally uses event based. So we will talk in a moment. So let's first talk about the STORM protocol. What is this STORM protocol? It is called Streaming Text Oriented Messaging Protocol, or some people say that Simple Text Oriented Messaging Protocol. Now, WebSocket itself is a communication protocol. WebSocket क्या है? सिर्फ एक communication protocol है that provides a raw, low-level messaging channel between client and server. While WebSocket is capable of transmitting text and binary data, WebSocket हमारा binary data को transmit करने में totally is capable, but it does not inherently provide what features for what message routing, subscription management, or user-specific messaging. What is the meaning of user-specific messaging? To handle this functionality, the STORM is used in conjunction with the WebSocket. Matlab, WebSocket is fine. It is just going to start your connection. It will persist your connection, and it can send some data as well. But if you want to make use of what? You want to make use of message routing. If you want to get a subscription, I want to send only message to that particular application. They're having the subscription of that particular topic. User specific message. Hey, this authenticated user is there, then only he will get this message. If the user is not authenticated, he will not get this message. So entire configuration, WebSocket alone cannot do. So in that case, we are gonna use this STORM protocol. STORM protocol, you can think like it is a sub protocol which is used with the WebSocket. Make sense? Matlab, using STORM protocol, you can enhance the functionality of WebSocket. You have to use STORM will have the STORM client, जिससे कि आप क्या कर सकते हो? आप subscribe कर सकते हो किसी topic को, आप event को listen कर सकते हो. You can publish some data to this one, to the some message brokers. Let's see here. STORM is a high-level messaging protocol that operates on the top of WebSocket. That means WebSocket is your main protocol, और उसका ये एक sub protocol है STORM to enhance the functionality of WebSocket. It provides additional features of abstraction for the message-based communication. इस तरह के feature like message routing, allow message to be targeted a specific subscriber. Message सिर्फ specific subscriber के पास ही जाए. ये routing कौन करेगा? STORM करेगा. There is no capability of WebSocket to do this. It enables publisher to send a message to a specific destination, and subscriber can selectively subscribe to receive the message from those destinations. It allows STORM client to talk with any message broker supporting the protocol. So ये किसी भी message broker से बात कर सकता है. That is also there using STORM. You can do that. Subscription management. STORM provides mechanism for the client to subscribe and unsubscribe the message destination. and this allow client to control which message they receive based on their interest and the preferences. किस topic को, किस destination को आप subscribe करना है, किसे unsubscribe करना है, which is the meaningful. We need to everything we can manage to the Stomp client or Stomp. We will see in action. Header management also, header based message transformation. It includes header that can use the add metadata to customize or behavior of the message. These headers can leverage the various purposes such as messaging filter, message acknowledgement, setting message expiration time. So extra thing also, just like that, if you want to keep some data over here, so with the header, Stomp provide the header support also, जो typical हमारे WebSocket में नहीं मिलता है. So using that, you can specify the message related details, this message ka expiration time, some extra metadata you can specify. Interoperability, of course, since Stomp is what designed to a language agnostic and can be used for a different programming language and message broker. मतलब under the hood ये किसी भी message broker से आप connect कर सकता है. It can connect with the any message broker, whether Apache Kafka or RabbitMQ or Simple Broker or any other kind of application. That means it is interoperable. It provides a standard way of exchanging messages, making it easier to develop applications that communicate over WebSocket across different platforms and different technologies. मतलब कोई भी application जो इस message broker से communicate कर लेगा using Stomp, they can. Stomp support is also there in the Node, also in Java also. They can subscribe this destination, they can publish the destination in any programming language. Make sense? They are easily connect with any message broker. I hope everybody got the clarity. What is this? What is the importance of this Stomp? Okay. Spring provides default support for an in-memory message broker, but other messaging protocol like RabbitMQ or ActiveMQ also can be chosen. You can choose that Apache Kafka also, but Apache Kafka छोटे-छोटे application के लिए use नहीं होता है. It is used for high type of, or you can say that जहाँ पे high performance event based streaming is there, बहुत huge data आ रहे हैं उसके लिए. Example scenario: build a server that accepts the message carrying the username here, and in response server pushes greeting message to a queue to which the client is subscribed. मतलब एक server application हम बना सकते हैं इस Stomp और WebSocket की मदद से, जहाँ पे user अपना नाम push करेगा अपने destination में broker के अंदर, then after the subscriber who is subscribed that one, everyone get that particular details. Now, how the WebSocket server internally works, just take some idea here, and internally, let me show you them here. Even though the embedded Tomcat server will be used in a Spring Boot application, जब हम Spring Boot use करते हैं, everybody know that embedded Tomcat server will be used, but it will still act as a what? WebSocket server when it comes to the WebSocket communication. जैसे ही हम socket communication use करेंगे, internally it will work as a socket server, WebSocket server. It will work as a what? WebSocket server, as not all a normal your web server. It will give entire functionality of your socket server. And WebSocket server functionality is integrated into the server, allowing to accept the WebSocket connections, manages the lifecycle of these connections, facilitate real-time bidirectional communication between client and server. मतलब Spring Boot internally will use the Tomcat server, but as soon as you will add the WebSocket dependency, now your server will act as a WebSocket server, right? And that means your connection will no longer will act as a HTTP connection. In typical WebSocket server implementation, separate thread is not started. In typical WebSocket server क्या होता है internally, जैसे कि normally हम HTTP server में बात किए थे हमने कि वो हर thread हर request को process करता है. It will take one thread. But here what will happen? A separate thread is not started for each client connection. Instead, a WebSocket server typically uses an event-driven asynchronous I/O model to handle the multiple client connection efficiently. I have already discussed event-driven. Event-driven मतलब जैसे ही कोई data रखा जाएगा, जैसे ही connection establish होगा, so automatically all the subscriber will get an event. The event will be generated, and based on that event handler, they will get the data. And it is asynchronously. That means client need not, server need not wait until, that means, or client need not wait कि हमने data push कर दिया, अब हमें कुछ response चाहिए. He is not waiting. वो अपना दूसरा काम कर सकता है. He is free of that, right? He does not care about that कि हमारा data subscriber के पास गया है नहीं. It is not waiting till that all the subscriber getting the data. his work is done. He will publish the message. That's it. Now, all the subscriber responsibility who has subscribed, the message broker will gonna help to just pass the data to them. That's it, asynchronous IO model to handle multiple client event driven. Event driven ka matlab, we will talk about this event driven model. Here it is there. Inshallah. So WebSocket server often employ an event driven model where a single thread manages multiple client connections. This thread listen to the incoming WebSocket events. हमेशा वो socket events के लिए listen करता रहता है, such as new connection. जैसे ही कोई connection, कोई client connect हुआ, one event will be generated. Data reception, जैसे ही कि आपके broker के अंदर या topic के अंदर data गया, one another event is generated. जैसे ही कोई client disconnect हुआ, another event will be generated. And based on that event, your backend have some logic in event handler, and those logic will be executed. Ishad, this is called event-driven model. Make sense? Based on whatever the event will be there, some logic will be generated. That logic will be triggered. We will see how exactly it is working. We will see. And asynchronous, we have already discussed about that. Web server socket uses what? WebSocket server uses asynchronous IO operation to handle, manipulate, or handle multiple connections without blocking the execution. This allows the server to handle numerous concurrent connection efficiently without the need of creating a separate thread for each connection. Non-blocking operation, it is similar to the asynchronous operation. So here it is not going to block the client to get the process or the result. And how the thread pool will work here, यहाँ पे चूंकि thread tied नहीं होता है client के साथ, तो thread will be free. So basically to manage the execution from multiple connection, WebSocket server may utilize a thread pool. यहाँ पे भी thread pool utilize कर सकता है, लेकिन क्या होगा यहाँ पे? The server assign incoming connection to the available threads from the pool. These threads handle the IO operation for their respective connections, allowing the server to handle multiple connections simultaneously without creating a new thread for each connection. एक ही thread है और वही thread हमारे request को process कर रहा है, need not again use the other threads. Now, by utilizing an event-driven and asynchronous approach, WebSocket server can effectively manage multiple client connection using a limited number of threads. क्योंकि यहाँ पे क्या है ना, ये asynchronous approach है. That means any thread can get the event, can do the processing, and the thread will be released. जब data ready हो जाएगा, तो दूसरा thread उस thread pool से निकलेगा और उस data को क्या करेगा? Subscribe कर देगा. So that means each thread is not tied with the so longer for a particular process. This approach optimizes source utilization, improves scalability, and enable efficient handling and concurrent connection in real time. And sometime what will be there, sometime we will discuss about these headers. Suppose that if you're calling with a Storm client, sometime if your APIs are protected, you can pass the tokens and all those things. But how we are going to use this Storm client, let's see in a live action with a Spring Boot project. So if you want to create this chatting application and all those simple message broker and all those things, so let me create that application first. I have one diagram is also there for you. Let me just explain this. Now this is your what WebSocket chatting application with Spring application. It is there. So how the things will gonna work? So basically your simple broker, this is the message broker I was talking about. Right? सारे data आपके यहीं पे publish होंगे, इसी को subscribe करना पड़ेगा. In that you have to create a particular topic or topic you need to create here. Now, first of all, sender or receiver, both will be there. The client could be a sender, client could be a receiver. They need to subscribe this topic. Topic का क्या नाम होगा? Topic slash hi, or here also. Suppose that I have given one particular name for this particular topic. Topic of student. So only the student related information will be kept in this topic. So first of all, sender and receiver both has to subscribe this topic. इसके अंदर कोई भी डेटा अगर आता है तो हमें उसकी नोटिफिकेशन मिलनी चाहिए. We need to get this data. चाहे वो कोई भी पुट करे, अगर हम भी पुट करेंगे या कोई दूसरा एप्लीकेशन भी पुट कर रहा है, इस टॉपिक के अंदर डेटा, I should get that one, right? So sender receiver both they need to subscribe this topic. Then after sender will send a particular request. Imagine like abc/hello. Now there will be a request channel which will give that your message handler. Message handler क्या है? ये this is your REST API. आज यहाँ पे हम लोग हैंडलर मेथड लिखते थे ना स्प्रिंग बूट में, तो वही एक मेथड है. दिस इज अ मेथड वेयर योर रिक्वेस्ट विल बी हैंडल्ड. So ABC related, this hello related message will be handled to this message handler. This message handler will talk to the broker channel, and using the broker channel, the which is the topic, since it is subscribed to only hello hi topic, so hi topic के अंदर ये डेटा हमारा रखा जाएगा. और जितने भी रिसीवर हैं हाई टॉपिक वाले सबको, सब्सक्राइबर है सबको ये नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाएगी. Make sense? So the conclusion is what? First of all, whether you are sender or receiver, you need to subscribe a particular topic. उसका एक नाम होगा जहाँ पे कोई डेटा रखा जाएगा वहां पे. So जो भी डेटा रखेगा सारे सब्सक्राइबर को डेटा मिल जाएगा. Means when we subscribe to any channel, it work in the same way, roughly speaking. Yes, almost you can think like that similar way it will work. Okay, now and how the data will be routed we will see in action. So what I'm going to do that, if you want to use that Spring Boot and then WebSocket. So let me just show that one example. Spring Boot WebSocket. Just hit the enter. You'll be landed to the Spring Boot official website, and the documentation has given here. Using WebSocket to build an interactive web application. You will just follow this article. Just follow this article, and very simple. You will just can create. अगर आपको HTML CSS के बारे में ज्यादा नॉलेज है आप इसे कस्टमाइज कर सकते हो, but it has given enough idea about the Storm protocol, how this Storm protocol is working, and what you need to do that. Let me just to follow the steps. We are going to create that Spring Boot project of the chatting application, and we will discuss how we are going to subscribe, how we are going to get a connection, and how we are going to send some data on a particular topic. Make sense? So let's do that here. So in this, I'm gonna, first it has given some, actually I have developed this application prior to that. So first of all, it is saying that, hey, go to there and these resources you can download, but here it is saying that create a Spring Boot project to download some dependencies. What are those dependencies? You need to download this WebSocket dependency. WebSocket dependency. So let me show you. You can create a Spring Boot project. So WebSocket, Spring Boot, and remaining coordinates will be as it is. Then after click on next. You need to search. हम normal Spring Boot project बनाते थे तो हम web and then other details we used to share. We used to collect. But here we need to use what? WebSocket. In a messaging, see that in a messaging dependency, WebSocket is there. So you need to select this dependency. Right away, this dependency is more than enough. You need not select other things. But if you have to create some getter setter and some entity classes, you want to connect with the database, then accordingly, you need to use remaining things like Lombok, databases, or whatever. You need not select this web. You just select this WebSocket, more than enough. It internally uses your what is Spring Web and other dependencies. Click on next, click on finish. आप देखना चाहते हो कि WebSocket में क्या क्या डिपेंडेंसीज आ जाती हैं? Let me show you as well. So this is your WebSocket Spring Boot project, and this is your POM. So if you notice, just I have added only one dependency, like this is WebSocket. Now, let me search this WebSocket dependency in a Maven and show you that ये dependency internally कौन-कौन सी dependency को use करती है. So go to that Maven repository. This is your what Spring Boot starter WebSocket, and this is the version, latest one. Go down and you will see that compile dependencies. तो ये internally 3 dependencies को use कर रही है. कौन-कौन से? Spring Boot starter web. That's why we need not use the web. Second one, Spring WebSocket. And then after is Spring messaging. It internally using what? This type of dependency it is, right? So just एक dependency काफी है हमारे लिए ये सारी dependency के लेने के लिए. मतलब embedded Tomcat server is also there. You can go to your resources, not resources, Maven dependencies. And you can see that all the related dependencies like Jackson APIs are there. Then after JUnit, Jakarta, then after you can see that Tomcat, embedded Tomcat server is also there, and Spring related, all the dependencies are there, right? So by this way, Spring, even Spring messaging is also there. Okay. So always it's a better practice to check once कि क्या कौन सी dependency हमें मिल चुकी है और वो dependency add करने पे internally हमें और कौन सी dependency मिलेगी. So this is the first step. After that, what you need to do, you need to it is saying that create a zip file and then put that in your IntelliJ or any ID. You can unzip the project. Then it is saying that add these extra dependencies in your project. ये dependency क्या है? ये dependencies है हमें web application बनाने के लिए. जैसे कि हमने Stomp हम use कर रहे हैं, right? Stomp sub protocol we are using. How to get the connection, to create some UI, some JavaScript, some CSS, right? Some library Bootstrap in order to use them. So see here, jQuery is there, Bootstrap is there, Stomp WebSocket, जो कि हमारी JavaScript की library है, जिससे हमें WebSocket का object हम बना सकते हैं, Stomp client का object बना सकते हैं JavaScript के अंदर. So for that one, these dependencies are there: WebSocket, SockJS client, WebJars locator.core. So this dependency basically you utilize in your JavaScript programming, in your web pages, not in the backend side. If you are interested, you can use them. Otherwise, आप in dependencies के ना CDN भी use कर सकते हैं. You can utilize their CDN also. You need not add this dependency. You can utilize directly CDN. I hope everybody is aware with the CDN. Please confirm. Yes. But right now I have used these dependencies as well. So let me just close this application. And I have created this application already, WebSocket server app. और आप इसके pom.xml में देखो आप. So this is your WebSocket is there. No, this is not that. By the way, let me follow that the same approach, whatever it is there. So I have created this particular project, and in the same POM, I'm going to add these dependencies. So I'm just following whatever it is there in that particular documentation. So this is the dependency, and here, let me copy these dependencies and paste it here. Till now, what I have done, I have done two things. First, I have created a Spring Boot project. I have added initially one WebSocket dependency, jar file dependency. And then after, I have copy pasted some of the JavaScript related dependency so that these objects and some jQuery and Bootstrap functionality will be there in my particular project. Till this part, everyone is comfortable? Please confirm. Cool. After that, what we need to do here, these are the final POM. Accordingly, we have created already. Then after, if you are using the Gradle, so you can follow this approach. Since we are not using the Gradle, you can skip. Then after saying that, hey, you need to create a resource representation classes. Resource representation classes in the sense कि आप request किस form में लेने वाले हो और response किस form में देने वाले. So in that case, it is saying that, hey, now you have to set up the project and build the system, being in the process, thinking like your service interaction. Service will accept a message that contains name in a stop message whose body is JSON object. If the name is Fred, the message might resemble the following: name Fred. मतलब आपको एक class बनाना है and वहाँ पे एक property होगी name जिसमें हमें value लेना है user से. So here I have created one class hello message. So where should I create that class? I need to go to here, create a package. The package should be com.masai.model, you can say model package. And in this, I'm going to create a particular class. The class name should be hello message. You can give any name. But here, let's follow that same whatever it has mentioned. This is the Spring Boot official website, by the way. So here you can just copy this class. Just click here, copy, and paste this. This package not required. Cool. So this is your what class जहाँ से आप ये request data में लेने वाले. Request लेने वाले हो. और ये जो नेम होगा ना, इसमें आप ग्रीटिंग मैसेज लगा के आप रिस्पॉन्स जनरेट करोगे. दिस इज अ चैट मैसेज. ओके, सो हेलो मैसेजेस विल बी देयर एंड देन आफ्टर द कंटेंट जो होगा उसमें हेलो के साथ ये चैट मैसेज आएगी. सो ग्रीटिंग इट शुड रिटर्न. So I need to create a greeting class as well. So let's create this greeting class in the same package. And in this, I just copy this picture. Package not required. So it is simply whatever the content will be there, that content it is just some parameterized constructor and getter setter. Zero argument constructor is also there and getter method is there. Just one string value is there. We will see that it will be the return type. Hello message class object will be the parameter and greeting will be the response type. इस content में हमें करना क्या है कि जो भी name होगा उसमें हमें hello के साथ append कर दें. That's it. So this is the two classes. The model classes is created. Now I need to create the controller class. Controller class, we will gonna just create this one greeting controller. So let me copy this and keep this in a package. So I'm getting a class. The package should be from.masai.controller and paste this greeting controller and just copy this one, paste it here. We need to discuss in this class a little bit more. Now please concentrate. This is a very simple REST API class. So see here, the first of all, what is the method name? Forget about this annotation. This is the controller annotation. It is not a REST controller. It is not a REST controller. ये आपके Spring MVC का controller. Okay. Now just forget about these two annotations. First talk about this method. Method name is greeting. It is taking payload. हम जब normal Spring Boot use करते हैं, we have to use that request body here, isn't it? At the rate request body. We should use what? Request body. But here we should not use the request body. In the previous version of Spring Boot, it used to use as a payload annotation. But in the latest one, this is also not required. Not required. You can simply ignore this one annotation. So hello message is there. And it is basically that hello message object will be there. यहाँ पे एक ही variable है string, जो हम JSON से value लेने वाले हैं. And it is throwing the exception because I'm using thread.sleep. ये thread.sleep एक second का एक sleep लेगा and then after it will generate this greeting message. It will generate the greeting message hello and this HTML utils HTML escape message.getName. So ये क्या है कि अगर कुछ HTML से related चीजें आए तो उसे skip कर दे. आप क्या करो simplify करने के लिए just simply remove this thing, not required. Plus message.getName. That's it. Till this point, everyone is comfortable? Okay, now what is this annotation? What is this annotation here? So this annotation is basically, this is my topic greetings. मतलब ये जो हमारा मैसेज होगा, जैसे हम इसमें पोस्ट करेंगे ये मैसेज, right? So this detail will return some data to my topic. To my topic greeting वाले topic में ये data हमारा greeting में add हो जाएगा in the form of a queue. The topic, that means in the topic this message will be stored. So using the hello whatever request I will send, that data will be stored to this particular topic. कौन सा topic का क्या नाम है? Greetings topic, right? अब इस greeting topic / greetings को जिस client ने subscribe किया है, those client who will subscribe this one, they automatically get this message from this particular message broker. So again, I'm repeating. Whenever you are calling this hello to send some data, message data, that data will be kept where? The data will be kept on a message broker. Am I clear? Please confirm. In the message broker, there will be a topic called greetings. In there, that data will be kept. It will be a simple broker. Or उस topic को जिसने भी, because if you notice, send it to, this message will be sent to those subscribers, they have subscribed this topic greetings. I hope you got the point here. So if you just go there, it is already mentioned all those details. Controller is a concise and simple, but plenty of things going on. Message annotations, you can learn about these annotations and all those details in very much detail. here. That means here it is. Ensures that if a message hello to a destination, that means destination is your topic, जहाँ पे रखा जाएगा message broker के अंदर. The greeting method is called. The payload of the message is bounded with this object passed to the greeting. And then internal implementation method simulate the process of 1 second delay, which we discussed. And then after 1 second delay, greeting method create a greeting object and return to it. The return value is broadcasted to all the subscriber who has subscribed this topic greetings as specified in the send it to annotation. Note that the name from the message is sanitized, since in this case it will be encoded back to the all the re-render to the browser DOM to the client side. You can get entire details is also mentioned here. After the next step, what we need to do, we need to create one configuration class to configure कि हमारे topic का नाम क्या होगा. And some other details we need to give our root resource prefix also. So for that one, we need to create one class called WebSocket config. So I'm going to create a class. You can get the package name com.masai.config and class name is WebSocket config. And in this class, what we need to do, first of all, इसे हमें configuration class बनाना है. कैसे बनाएंगे? @configuration. You know about this configuration class in Spring Boot, right? And then after you need to start that your broker, that means your simple message broker जो हम in memory message broker की बात कर रहे थे. Here we are not using RabbitMQ or Apache Kafka. We are using what? Simple message broker. So that message broker will be enabled using this annotation. And then you need to implement, there is a one inbuilt class is there. That class you need to implement. This is an interface, by the way. Override that, and here you have the two default method. This is an interface we have implemented, WebSocket message broker configurer. Using that you need to configure. So there are two default methods are there: configure message broker and register stomp endpoints. Let me just copy paste. First of all, I'm saying that, hey, this is my topic. And in the topic, whatever name we can define, like इस topic के अंदर जो हम data रख रहे हैं, controller कह रहा है कि हम greetings नाम से हम data रखेंगे. आप चाहो तो अलग-अलग भी आप अपने API के through आप topic बना सकते हो. Topics are nothing but destination where you are want to keep the data. Okay. Now this is your root resource prefix. That means whenever client will send the request will be in the form of app/hello. जैसे हम REST API में root resource देते थे ना categorize करने के लिए. Similar way, you can give some root resource of your controller. So your request will come as a app/hello. App/hello. Similarly, if any other URI, if this is only one method, you can create a number of methods over there. And that will be prefixed with what destination prefix you need to apply here. Application destination prefix with app. Now this is your what? A register stomp endpoint. So a stomp endpoint basically says that with shockjs. It is saying that, hey, something if it is not working properly, let's say that your message queue is not working properly, or WebSocket protocol is not working properly, please redirect and use our what with this URI, make use of your traditional HTTP connection. HTTP connection you can utilize. So this is what your shockjs. If something goes not, that means as expected, अगर कुछ problem होता है, अगर you are not able to subscribe this topic or not able to get this topic using normal WebSocket protocol, then please move to the normal HTTP protocol. And using that, you can try to connect with this one. So this is one you can say fallback URL. The details you can just learn about there. So what are the details here? What is the prefix and what is that? So here app/hello endpoint, using that you will call, and this is your destination. Using that you can configure your topic. And register stomp endpoint is saying what? Enable sockjs fallback option, so that alternate transport can be used if the WebSocket is not available. The sockjs client will attempt to connect with this one, this particular API. You can give any name and uses the best available transport, WebSocket, some other streaming, some extra thing. So it is basically for fallback API. So if this WebSocket will not work, so use the another your main protocol HTTP, and using that try to call this API. This name can be anything. You can give anywhere. Till this part, everyone is comfortable. कैसे हमने destination को configure किया है? These things you need to configure as a your, and this class also enable your message broker also. This is a very, very important annotation. Next one, you need to create a browser client. बस आपके सारे काम हो गए. Now you need not do anything. Last, you need to create some UI. That UI part is a very, very interesting. Let me show you. So first, you need to create one browser client. You need to create an index.html. कहाँ पे? आप static folder के अंदर src main resource index.html file बना लो. So this is src main resources where application.properties used to be there. You need to create one folder. Folder name should be static. And in the static, create a file, HTML. That HTML should be index.html. Now, in this index.html, simply you need to copy this entire index.html details and paste it here. That's it. Now, in this, what is there? So see here, some links are there. Some links are there. That is here. This jar files is there. jQuery jar file. जैसे वो dependency हमने add की थी ना, तो jQuery के jar file भी इस folder के अंदर चले गए. So that link is script related things, and your bootstrap and one main CSS link is there, and some HTML and bootstrap related things. We'll discuss about this one in a moment. This class will go 10 minutes more. Okay, to just explain about this UI. किस तरह हम subscribe कर रहे हैं, किस तरह data को हम send करते हैं. Okay, and then it is there. After that, we need to create one app.js, that JavaScript, जहाँ पे हम Stomp client वगैरह को हम use करेंगे. So copy this one and create a file in a static itself. App.js. And you can simply paste this. And at the last, what is there? Just see here. Nothing more than that. Then make this application executable. At the last, what you can do to just make your compilation done, you can create a simple empty link, because to resolve this link, main.css. क्योंकि आप यहाँ देखो ना, index.html में एक फाइल को इसने बना रखा है क्या? यहाँ पे main.css, जहाँ पे आप इस HTML की स्टाइलिंग कर पाओ. सो चूंकि ये नहीं है, तो इसको रिजॉल्व करने के लिए हम क्या बना ले, यहाँ पे फाइल एक बना ले main.css. आप इसके अंदर उसकी स्टाइलिंग कर सकते हो. That's it. Our application is ready. Let me first run this application, and then after I will show you that how this application, the front end side, is working. So how to run this application? It's very simple. You can just open that your main class and launch this application. Now, if you open the browser and your localhost, and simply pass the AT. That means it will directly launch your index.html. You can start that index.html also, but need not give here. Automatically it will, because index.html by default configured as what? Home page. So if you launch this page will open like this, right? Now this is your what page? WebSocket connection. You can connect. Right now disconnect is disabled. You can pass your name and send the message. That message will be extras.js file. Which file you are talking about there? No, everything is fine. No? Julian, which is you are talking about? Okay, so this page is going to get open, app.js file. App.js is fine. What's the problem? Okay, anyhow, we will discuss. So let me first launch this example. So this application is just started. Now I'm just clicking on connect. So application got connected. Now connect button is disabled and disconnect is enabled. I'm gonna open the another browser. So let me open this another one. And here also I'm opening this application. So this is also there and I'm connecting. So it is got connected. So both browsers, you will notice they are connected with each other. Actually, they are connected with your message broker. I am passing here any name. Let's say that Rahul. Rahul and click on send button. So it will take 1 second delay and then after hello Rahul, right? And this message is broadcasted to all the client. Which client? Let me show you that browser as well. Hello Rahul, it is also coming to this particular client. From here, if I am passing what, let's say that Amit, right? And send the request here from here. So hello Amit, it is also the same thing is also working as what? Sender also, receiver also. Sending the data from here, and since it has also subscribed the topic, that means it is also the message is broadcasted. Not only that, even this particular client who has given the request, the message is also broadcasted here also. Now, if let's say that this particular client is going to disconnect this. So it is disconnected, but this client is still it is there. Now, if it will keep on sending the data, so this data, since it is only one producer and subscriber, so both things is working there. So I'm sending that Rahul, or let's say that Sunil. So it will keep on sending the data, and same application will act as a subscriber. Let me open that another browser and trying to connect once again. So here it's got connected. Now, previous data, this client is not able to get, but this time, if I'm giving that one here, it says Sunil once again. So here Sunil is there and hello Sunil data is there. How this publisher and subscriber is working, let me show you this front end part. Just it will take 5 minutes more to complete this part. See here, if you stop the application, is a single application. You will see this index.html and JavaScript, everything will be clear. So this is the simple, some links are there, which will include your Bootstrap and this jQuery and sock.js related library. You can utilize their CDN. In the case of CDN, you need not add this jar files. ये jar file को add नहीं करना है, आप CDN directly use कर सकते हो. In a body, what is there? In the body, this is the what WebSocket connection, and there are two buttons are there: connect and disconnect. Right? Connect and disconnect buttons are there. So disconnect अभी initially हमारा disable है और connect हमारा enable है, right? Then after, what is your name? It is asking, and one form is there. It is a one particular form where the form group label is what name, and this is the input field from where जहाँ से हम नाम को pass करते हैं. This is the form tag. By the way, here it is the form tag, and here is the one button, submit button. Then after the conversation is working here in the greeting message in the table, the value is printed. That's it. This is your HTML. You can customize this HTML. You can apply the background image and whatever you want, you can put there. Now go to the app.js. This is a very, very important file. See here what exactly things is happening. First, I took a Storm client variable. Initially, it is null, right? I told basically it works as a what event-based things like that. Whenever any client will be connected, some event will be generated. Now, what exactly I have done here, let me show you first from here. This is your what jQuery, by the way. So here, this is a self-executing function. This function will be executed as soon as my application will be loaded. What exactly it has done? So this function will be called automatically. It is selecting the ID form. इस HTML से जिसकी ID form है, वो हमारा form select हो जाएगा. So here it is. Form, you can search using Control F as well. App.js. So basically it will take one form ID and on submit, जैसे वो form submit होगा, this method will be called. This internal method will be called. I think it will take form element. I guess form element or form ID. This is the ID selector. Let me check, search F form. Yeah, it is taking the ID itself. When the form is submitted, that time this event will be executed. ID, because jQuery, jQuery using that element also you can select, or ID also you can take. Okay, so here the form, whenever it is submitted, one callback function I have given. What it is doing, that it is setting prevent default. That means it should not be executed as a prevent one. I have just default submission I have just disabled. Then after connect वाला जो ID है, उसके click पे हमने एक function लगाया है connect. That means this function will be called the connect method. कब? जब connect वाली ID पे कोई click करे. Connect ID किसकी है? Whose ID is there for connect? Your connect button. So if you notice, this is the button connect. जैसे इस पे कोई click करे, तो ये method call हो जाएगा. Which method? Click function. Whenever somebody will click, this connect method will be called. Somebody will click on the disconnect, then disconnect method will be called. Somebody will click on send, then send method will be called. Now we need to discuss about these three methods: connect method, disconnect method, and send name method. So first let's talk about the connect. अब ये connect कैसे काम करता है? We created the new shock.js. New shock.js, this is the what your fallback URI. कि कुछ भी गलत होता है तो ये shock.js it will take that your work, and this is your socket is created. This socket you need to pass on a stomp, then only you are going to get a stomp client. जैसे हम वहां पे आप नॉर्मल सॉकेट प्रोजेक्ट में आपने देखा होगा कि हम सॉकेट क्लाइंट हम कैसे हम यूज कर रहे थे. Same thing also is working like that. You need to create a shock.js object, and that shock.js you need to pass here what? Hey, if something goes wrong with the stomp client, there is a stomp, there will be a class, there is a static method in that. Over, you will call this. Actually, this is, you can say, one element, the predefined element. ये कहाँ से मिल रहा है ये element आपको? जैसे ही आपने यहाँ पे ये add किया है ना, CDN, this one, your sock.js client. So this file will giving this particular element, right? So you are anyhow getting that stomp client, and stomp client, there is a one method connect. This first object will represent any header. If you want to pass any header, suppose that to call this particular message, you have added in this controller some Spring security stuff. आपने Spring security भी add कर दिया. You need to pass some token or some extra details. In that case, right now there is no any header I need to pass. That's why I pass the empty object. But this empty object will represent the headers, right? So in that case, suppose any security token you need to pass. So in that case, you need to pass this header in this. You need to create one variable header, and in a connect here, authorization header, bearer token, customer header value, whatever you want. You need to compose the headers accordingly, and then stomp client.connect. Pass the header as the first parameter, and second function is a your callback function. लेकिन अभी चूंकि कोई header नहीं है, तो हमने यहाँ पे क्या पास कर दिया है? Empty object. Is it okay? Is confirmed? Cool. Now this function will be called as a fallback, or is a once the connection is connected, this function will be called. So it is saying that set connected true. What is the set connected? We will see here. Set connected. So it will take a Boolean value. Set connected, that means yes, it is connected. Now once it is connected, I make the button disable को हमने enable कर देंगे और enable को disable कर देंगे, and conversations dot show, that's show and hide message, nothing great here, and show the display message. Okay, this the functionality will be done by set connected, and on a console.log it will be in the details. But this is here the important thing. Stomp client.subscribe. See here how I am subscribing that particular topic. So here just topic की हम बात कर रहे थे. The controller need to subscribe this topic. So that is here it is subscribed. That's why this application is working as what? Subscriber also. And in that case, any message will come, that message will work in this body. So I need to pass one fallback function here, or callback function. It will just printing the show greeting. And whatever the greeting body is coming, this message will get the entire data. जैसे ये टॉपिक सब्सक्राइब किया, इसमें कोई भी इवेंट आएगा डेटा, द डेटा विल कम इन दिस फंक्शन, दिस मेथड विल बी कॉल्ड, और उस डेटा के हमने बॉडी को निकाल लिया, उसके कंटेंट को हमने प्रिंट कर दिया. इज इट ओके? दैट विल बी in this show greeting message method, and show greeting will just print the data in this particular ID. I hope you got the point here, how this data is, how this topic is subscribed. Now sending the and so greeting message is there, it will just append this message, whatever the message is there in this particular ID, and it will enable. Now sending details. So Stomp client से हम send कर रहे हैं कहाँ पे? See here /app/hello /app/hello, isn't it? Is confirmed? ये हमने अभी बताया था ना इसके बारे में, we just discussed that /hello, and this is the root URL, and then after that your particular message request you are sending. So that request is being sent from here. If any header you want, you can send from them, request header like token or all these things. And then this is your body. Body में क्या भेजना है हमें? जो हम JSON में हम डेटा भेजने वाले हैं. So that is जो text में हमारा name होगा उसका value. So that data, the request will be sent. So the two important thing in this entire JavaScript, the first thing, sending the request. Second thing is subscribing the request. How you are subscribing this particular topic and how you are sending this request. The remaining thing is simple, your normal JavaScript jQuery, how you are embedding the data. I have already given the idea how to, if your API is protected, how to pass the token and all those things. In your wish, you can take that main.css, apply your CSS logic to apply the body background and make your rich UI. Am I clear? Please confirm. Cool. Now the next thing I have just from somewhere else, I just copied the similar type of example. Another example, let me just run this example. I will share this both examples. Same concept is also applicable there, but it is a little bit more advanced one. So you can see this. Let me first run this example. It is having some nice UI and what is there, some CSS is applied. So you'll get some very good messaging details and all those things. So let me run this application. And I'm gonna open this one, localhost 8080. Okay, this is gone. Basically, sometime used to happen. ये हम दूसरा application launch कर रहे हैं, app2, but actually same application is there. This not this one. Our application is this one, and I'm trying to execute this one, but still it is coming with the previous record. Why? Because sometime browser will cache the data. So let me just relaunch the application once again. Let me check the port number. There is no any port number, so it will run on 8080. कभी-कभी ब्राउजर के केस में वो डेटा रह जाता है. So it is also still coming the previous UI itself. So what I'm going to do here, stop this and changing the port number. Server port is equal to, let's say that here, 8088. index.html क्या है ना, हमारे ब्राउजर में केस हो चुका है. So उसके लिए हम यहाँ पे दूसरा उसका सर्वर पे हम रन करेंगे. आप चाहो तो index.html का नाम बदल सकते हो. 8088. It's not working. No, the same application is there. I guess I have deleted the application. Greeting hello message, it is also there. And in this, to the model, message is there. This application message. Yeah, this application. Yeah, I need to start this one. Not app. It's my bad. I was trying to start the another application. So here the message will be the different type of details, content, sender type, and message type is a JSON ki kis tarah enum, which type of message type is this. And if you notice this in a controller, here in this one, this is my topic name send to, this is the register method, and the return type is message. Parameter is also message. This time I have used a payload. You can remove this payload as well. और इसमें हमने एक message username और उसका एक in the form of map. I keep some data over here. You'll try to understand. Basic things are same thing here. Just a few details I have changed, but let me first run this example so that some CSS and all this stuff is applied over here. So if you open this application, localhost. App, this is fine. And in this one, I guess it is there. Open the resources, application.properties. Painted. Yeah. So in the browser, localhost, painted. So this is here. The username, whatever you are gonna pass, that will be the initial username. The data will go over here. This one, this header accessor, the data will go over there in the form of this map, user and sender, who is the user. So I'm giving that username Ratan and start chatting. So Masai chat box open, Ratan join, and here you can start the chatting. Now I'm gonna open this another browser window. And from here also I'm gonna open localhost 8888. And here I'm giving, let's say, Ramesh. Start chatting. So Ramesh joined. Now go to that browser. It is also saying that Ratan joined, Ramesh joined. And from here, I'm saying that this is Ratan here. So hello, Ramesh. So it is saying that Ratan, hello, Ramesh. And go here in the Ramesh box. It is saying that Ratan message that hello, Ramesh. So I'm fine. So Ramesh is sent this message and Ram will get this message. So both sides, just a few colors and some details I have added, but the basic concept is same. There also the configuration file, there also some other details are still there. That means, but just only here, this box, how it is coming, based on that, some CSS I have applied, nothing great here. And how the initial box is giving that username and it is printing on that particular message. This is because of this session attribute. Because this in the header simp message header, you are get the session object, and that session object from there you can get the collect the username, which is printing in the box top of that. And this example is same as previous example, nothing changes here. You can see that configuration. Also, you will find that particular topic to method I have also overridden. So entire thing is same. Just you need to CSS things how it is working. Make sense? Good. How to make it their side, it is relocated CSS like in our WhatsApp if you want to send to right there. Yeah, you will just check out that this application, go through once, you'll get the enough clarity. And nothing, I have already explained the previous example. Okay, I will share this for example in today's, in fact, this notes as well with in this particular session notes. So that will be this two application and two our basic Java socket application also, which will be helpful for you. You can practice on that. Is it okay? So that's it for the today's session. And I hope you have enjoyed this session. You understood what is the messaging, how this message brokers are working, what is the Storm protocol, what is the WebSocket protocol. So please try to practice and try to create at least जो example पहले वाला हमने बनाया था ना, उसके थोड़ा सा आप लोग थोड़ा modify करके कुछ उसके UI वगैरह लगा देना. You'll get them applied. Thanks once again. Any other resources? Please feel free to watch that in your whatever the other resources you have. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. We will see you on next time.